Fox News alert. 4 female hostages back in Israel this morning, reuniting with their loved ones after being freed from Hamas earlier this morning.
This was the second round of releases under the Gaza ceasefire deal, which requires Israel to give up hundreds of prisoners, and the White House keeping their eye on the Middle East, getting ready to send a Trump envoy back to Israel next week.
Here to discuss is Senator Markwayne Mullin. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. It's exciting for families to have their hostages come home, but what do you make of this deal and how it's being executed?
Well, Jason, if it wasn't for President Trump, these hostages wouldn't be released. It's kind of reminiscent of Carter versus Reagan when he came into office. And let me tell you, someone that needs all the credit is Steve Witkoff. Yes. Steve flew back and forth from the Middle East basically since the election on his own dime, refusing to take any money from the government, working out these hostage deals. It was interesting to me at one time when you saw the former Secretary of State, Blinken, who's a complete liar, trying to take credit for this. If it wasn't for the Trump administration, these hostages would still be in the hands of Hamas. And so thank God we got a new sheriff in the White House.
Yeah, no question about it. Steve Witkoff deserves a lot of credit. But it's not just that the Democrats are trying to take credit for it. There has been a campaign, even on the Republican side, among many of the neocons, criticizing him for this deal.
I don't understand how they could criticize someone that went there and did exactly what the President of the United States wanted. He made it very clear. He says there will be hell to pay if these hostages are not being released by the time I get into office. Steve went there and started working a deal with a terrorist organization, having to work with the IDF, and we had to go through the Qataris too. He got the best deal he could get, and guess what? He did something that the former administration, the Biden administration, could not get done. He got the hostages released. Yeah. That's the most important thing. First and foremost, bring the hostages home. Yeah.
It's what Israeli citizens wanted too, so
That's
many
right.
of them.
Exactly. Senator, so later today, we're expecting Pete Hegseth to be sworn in as next Secretary of Defense. Obviously, he lost 3 Republican votes. But I think one of the really interesting parts of all of this is that the reason Pete Hegseth is getting confirmed is because Donald Trump had his back and wasn't going to budge.
Well, President Trump knew exactly what he was doing when he was picking people like Pete and Sean Duffy. By the way, he'll be, Rachel, we'll get him confirmed this coming week. He knew he wanted a fighter in there, and Pete never blinked under fire. He continued to move forward, and his wife, Jenny, my goodness, they are such a power couple moving forward through the halls, taking the fight straight to each office, not allowing the press to debate this, but he was answering all the questions. I was on the phone with Pete multiple times, even yesterday. He was answering questions all the way to the very end. It was phenomenal to see the type of person that President Trump elected to straighten out the Pentagon, and he got the right person with our new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. I'm excited about it. I mean, you saw the fighter. And let's just go back to the hearing, too. You saw underneath the hearing that he walked into that, and he had a lot of room that he had to gain when he went in there. Now, what he did is he walked in there and he came out stronger than he was, and you saw how awful the Democrats were just attacking him, going after him nonstop, and he was so calm and collective under fire. That's the type of leader you need leading us in this very tense moment we have around the world.
No question about it. He came out stronger. He never budged. He outworked everybody, what everybody thought he would do. And again, he had Donald Trump standing strong with him, and he knew that. And I think that gave him a lot of strength. And
you're right, Rachel.
Yeah. Well, it's so great seeing you, Senator. And you also stood by him and gave him a lot of support, and his family. And that is so important through this very difficult process. So thank you for joining us today. And thanks for all you've done to get these nominees through.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
God bless.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.